Hello, it's Dan Yuzerski. Hoping everyone's doing well. It's another edition of my podcast. No interviews today. It's just a sports recap. I thought it would be the perfect time to do one since the NFL draft just happened last night, the first round. Rounds 2 and 3 are tonight. Rounds 4 through 7 tomorrow afternoon. MLB is in full swing. Yankees and Mets both win last night, as well as the rest around the league. We'll go into that. We'll also talk about the NBA and the NHL playoffs. Rangers, a crucial Game 5 loss last night. They looked done against the Devils. They've not looked good. We'll go into that. And we'll talk about how the Knicks are going to the second round of the Eastern Conference playoffs for the first time since 2013. And of course, we're going to start with baseball because baseball is my favorite sport. I'm a big baseball fan. And we're going to start with the New York Yankees. They defeated the Texas Rangers last night by a score of 4-2 to improve to the 15-11. And one of the biggest stories, of course, last night, the two ones that you're going to stick out are Garrett Cole and Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge left the game in the fourth inning with hip discomfort. It looks like he should be out for the weekend, but not much after that, which is an encouraging sign because if you lose him, that the whole team might go down in flames. And Garrett Cole last night was fantastic. He's improved to 5-0 with a 1.11 earned run average. I picked him in my MLB predictions to win the AL Cy Young this year, and so far, so good for the Yankee ace. He had a phenomenal month of April, 5-0 at 1.11 earned run average, and he's yet to give up a home run this year, and I believe 42 and 2/3 innings. That's incredible. It's one of the more impressive things I've seen from Garrett Cole. It's probably the best I've seen him as a Yankee, being a Yankee fan. So I couldn't be happier with the Yankees on their front. And of course, we're going to the Mets. The Mets last night, they win by a score of 9-8. It almost looked bad there for the Mets. They gave up the go-ahead grand slam with the bases loaded and 2 outs to CJ Abrams. So the Mets also 15-11. Been good so far, not great. Same thing with the Yankees. It's just those two teams are two of the best teams in baseball last year. And it doesn't feel like they've found their gear yet like some other teams, like the Pittsburgh Pirates or the Tampa Bay Rays, the two best teams in baseball right now, at least going into yesterday. The Pirates are 18-8. That's incredible. No one expected them to get off to that kind of start. Having Kutch back there has been nice to see. Drew Maggi made his major league debut. He'd been grinding in the minor leagues for 11 years. So it's a lot to see for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and not many people are going to notice it because it's April and a lot of people are invested in the NHL, NBA, and the NFL right now. But give credit to where credit's due. The Pittsburgh Pirates have been one of the best teams in the league this year, and I did not expect this out of them. I believe I picked them to finish last in that division. So I hope they keep winning. Everyone likes to see the Pirates do good because they've been the lovable losers since the 90s. And then the Tampa Bay Rays, who are 21-5, absolutely demolished the Chicago White Sox last night. Yeah, it's not looking good if you're a Yankees fan right now. The Rays are legit. They're going to be good. I've been against them for a while, but they're good. It's going to be a long year for the Yankees if they can't produce consistently. All right, that's your baseball recap. Let's go into the NFL. Let me pull up the draft notes on my phone, and we'll get right into it. Last night, there's definitely some head-scratching picks that are going to jump out at people right away. First overall, Bryce Young. We'll go through the first round. Well, that's what I'll do. And then maybe we'll see what we do next tomorrow night. But first overall, Bryce Young, I think everyone was kind of expecting it. They knew that the Panthers were going to take a quarterback, and Bryce Young growing by the day was more and more likely. The one that kind of surprised me was what the Houston Texans did with 2 and 3. They took CJ Stroud at 2 and then immediately traded right back up to 3, giving up some future picks to select Will Anderson Jr. I like both of those picks. I think Stroud's going to be really good. His rating from CBS was a 92.10, which is an all-pro. His pro comp was Geno Smith. Was really good at Ohio State in that one game. The last game he ever played in college was against Georgia, and he looked absolutely incredible. So if you're a Texans fan, CJ Stroud is going to be a good quarterback. I'll say that right now. I think that's what will end up happening. And I think the Texans made the right selection, especially 2 and 3. Will Anderson Jr. was by the consensus best defensive player in the draft, not named Jalen Carter. He's the best edge rusher by scouts. Was that from Alabama? So there's a lot of talent from Alabama. So he started. He's going to be a good pick for them. For Anthony Richardson, Anthony Richardson's a good pick. I don't know how he'll do with the Colts because Richardson was simply a guy I really wanted to see sit a year. I thought the Vikings or what's that team that is? Vikings were a good fit. I thought Seattle was an also good fit. Those were the two best fits, I thought, because they were able to sit behind, because Richardson would have been able to sit behind two good veteran quarterbacks, but that's not the case. He ends up going to the Colts. He's probably going to be thrown in there right away. The thing that will look promising for Colts fans is that Shane Steichen just made Jalen Hurts into a superstar, so it's looking good if you're a Colts fan. They made the right pick. They finally drafted a quarterback. First quarterback they've drafted in the first round since Luck. Let's hope it works out a little bit better this time, and they can find the right pieces to supplement Richardson's development. Seattle at 5 took Devin Witherspoon. That's a really good pick. I thought he was a really good cornerback. He's been really highly graded. His pro comp is Marcus Peters, and if your pro comp is Marcus Peters, you're obviously doing something right and you're a good player. At 6, the Cardinals traded back up. They traded with Detroit to take Paris Johnson Jr., really good offensive tackle from Ohio State. His grade was an 89.70, a long-term starter, and his pro comp was Andres Pete, who's been a really good left tackle for the Saints. The Cardinals needed to protect Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray has been getting smoked. Their offensive line was a big hole that they needed to fill, and hopefully this will fill that need for the Cardinals. At 7, the Raiders made a really good pick and took edge Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech to pair with Mason Crosby. That's a dangerous duo to have as your pass rusher, because Max Crosby, my apologies, Mason Crosby is the kicker. Max Crosby, one of the best edge rushers in the league. That'll be good. They're going to be good this year defensively, at least up front. Good pick for the Raiders. They got an A from CBS Sports, and Tyree Wilson had a 90.53, which is an all-pro. His pro comp is Matthew Judon, one of the best edge rushers in the league the past few years. Here's where it gets interesting, and here's where I don't like the pick at all. And it's Texas taking Bijan Robinson, or the Falcons taking the Texas running back Bijan Robinson at 8. Now, I know I am one of the people that is against taking running backs early in the first round, in the first round in general, unless it's like 28 through 32. I don't get it. I mean, Bijan Robinson's a stud. He's going to be a really good running back, but the Falcons had glaring holes all over the rest of that roster and took a flashy running back. Very simple and very much reminds me of what the Giants did in 2018 when Dave Gettleman took Saquon Barkley second overall, and everyone knew it wasn't a great pick. Really not a terrible pick. And I think Bijan's going to be great, but you had needs that you needed to fill, and you didn't fill any of those needs. So not a very good pick. CBS gave the pick a D. I'm going to give it an F. Not a good pick at all. Well, I'm going to go back and grade the other ones too. I give Bryce Young an A+. He's the consensus 1. Stroud, I'll give an A. Anderson Jr., I'll give a B+. No, I'll give an A-. Anthony Richardson, I'll give a B. Devin Witherspoon, I'll give a B. Paris Johnson, I'll give an A. Tyrese Wilson gets an A. And Bijan Robinson gets an F for me. He's going to be an all-pro running back, but you needed other positions to fill, and you didn't fill those needs. And at the end of the day. And here comes, in my opinion, one of the most painful picks in the entire draft to witness for me as a Giants fan. The Eagles just get better and better. They take Jalen Carter, the best defensive player in this draft, at 9. It's an A+ pick. They made a great trade. And it's so frustrating because the Eagles are going to be so good for so long. They just locked up Jalen Hurts to a massive extension. They have a great offensive line. They have a great defensive line. They have Jordan Davis, Brandon Graham. They just added Nolan Smith, who we'll talk about later. I'll talk about that pick. Jalen Carter gets an A+. His draft grade was a 92.60. That's what his scouting report was on him. He's going to be an all-pro. His pro comp's Jeffrey Simmons. He went to Georgia. Everyone from Georgia in that defense has been an absolute stud, at least at Georgia. That's a great pick for the Eagles. They get an A+ there. And then the Bears take Darnell Wright. I like the pick. They needed to protect Justin Fields. If you think he's your franchise guy, you need to protect him. The only thing with Darnell Wright is I thought there were better tackles, but it looks like it's going to be a pick that might pan out for the Bears. I also thought they needed Peter Skoronski, who got picked a pick later. So I'll give that pick a B minus. I thought it was a good pick. I didn't think it was the best of picks, but it's still a good pick. Peter Skoronski goes 11. I give that a B. I thought that's where the Titans should have taken Will Levis. Titans need a quarterback. Will Levis would have been a perfect spot for that, but they didn't end up doing it, and they didn't pull the trigger. They ended up going an offensive lineman, which means they might be going all in on another year of Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill, which I don't know how successful you'll be in that. You'll probably be 9-8, and you'll be on the playoff picture in the bubble. I don't know if you make it in or not, but I'll give that pick a B. Solid pick. He's going to be a good offensive lineman, and it seems like the Titans want to build the foundation of their team from the lines up, and that's how most teams should do it. That's how the good teams do it. And that's how the Titans are doing it. B on that pick. Here's where it gets really interesting. And this is another awful pick. I'm giving this pick an F minus on the line. Jahmyr Gibbs at 12. I understand Gibbs is great, but you have two running backs. You have DeAndre Swift, and you just signed David Montgomery. Why are you taking a running back there? You have other needs to fill. You could have gone receiver. You needed a tight end. You needed defense. I mean, they ended up taking someone, but you needed a cornerback. Christian Gonzalez is there. Why are you not taking a defensive player in that spot? Did not make any sense from Detroit to make that pick. That's an F minus. Packers at 13 take Lucas Von Ness. That's a nice pick for them. He was really good at Iowa this year. He had a grade of 89.6, which means he's going to be a long-term starter. I like the pick. I think he's going to be good. B+. We go to Broderick Jones. Broderick Jones is another good pick. Jets really wanted him. Pittsburgh traded up to get the pick. They traded with New England. That's a good pick. He's graded out as an 88.7, which means he's going to be a long-term starter. That's what CBS projects him as. I'm going to give this pick a B. Solid pick. Pittsburgh, my bad, needed offensive line help, and they get it with Broderick Jones. Nice pick for the Steelers. Here's one that I thought was kind of interesting and caught me off guard. The Jets at 15 taking Will McDonald IV. Edge from Iowa State. I'm not the biggest fan of this pick because Nolan Smith was there. I get that Nolan Smith has injury issues, but he's more talented than Von Ness McDonald. And McDonald's draft grade his scouting rating was an 83.77. Yeah, that's not going to cut it for a 15th overall pick, considering that guys were much higher graded than him. I'm going to give this pick a C minus. Not a fan of this pick really that much at all. Washington at 16. Here's another team that could have gone Will Levis. They needed a quarterback. They chose Emmanuel Forbes, cornerback from Mississippi State. It's a good pick for them. CBS gave it an A. His scouting grade was an 85.9, and his pro comp's Dante Jackson. Washington did need another cornerback. It fills a need for them. They needed to be better defensively. They struggled a little bit defensively last year. Ron Rivera loves to go defense. He's a defensive-minded head coach. I think it's a good pick for them. I'm going to give this pick a B+. Here might be the steal of the draft. I could not believe this guy fell to them. And Christian Gonzalez goes to the Patriots at 17. This pick's an A+. Christian Gonzalez might have been the best corner in this draft, and he got taken after a few. So they get a steal, a 90.53 grade for him. He's going to be an all-pro. His pro comp is Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie. DRC was a great Giants cornerback, a good corner for the long time with the Broncos as well. It's a great pick for the Patriots, A+. Nice pick for Bill Belichick. He took the sound guy. He didn't go off the grid. He took the guy that he knew was best. Good pick for the Patriots, A+. Another A+ pick is the Lions coming back up to select Jack Campbell. This is the pick. I love this pick. He's a really good linebacker. Detroit needed middle linebacking help. Huge, absolutely huge pick for the Lions there. They needed defense with 12. They didn't do it. They do it with 18, and I like this pick, A+. Definitely a great pick for them. They needed a middle linebacker. Fills a huge need. They're going to be good this year. I really do think that. Also, watch out for DeAndre Swift trade. They didn't like him last year. They really haven't liked him since Dan Campbell's been in there. He's probably going to be the odd man out in Detroit. Watch out for a trade for him. I don't know who will trade for him, but there's going to be a team that's going to need a running back. And I don't know if it's now this weekend or it's in preseason training camp. before the season starts, or even during the season, DeAndre Swift will not be a Lion come December or come the trade deadline this year. At 19, Tampa Bay took the defensive lineman from Pitt, Kalijah Cansey. I think that's what his name is. I'm not too sure. He's a good pick. His pro comp is Aaron Donald. So anytime you get a guy whose pro comp is Aaron Donald, I think you do a great job. Good pick for the Bucs, B+. And then Seattle, I don't know how they fell, how two running backs are taken before any receivers are. But Jackson Smith-Njigba is the guy the Seattle Seahawks choose from Ohio State. This guy's going to be a stud. I wanted the Giants to get him badly. I think he's the best receiver in the draft. It's not a deep receiver draft, but this guy was insane. He would have been much higher on draft boards had he played this year consistently. He did not. But if you look at the year before, he was one of the best receivers in college football. He was the best receiver on that team, put up the best numbers. And if you look at what he did in the Rose Bowl, he was fantastic. A+ for the Seattle Seahawks. Hang on, I'll be right back. So we're back here, and we had to take a quick break. Sorry about that. But at 20, we have Jackson Smith-Njigba. I'm going to give the grade an A+. I like that pick a lot. I probably already did that. Number 21, Quentin Johnston. I'm not a fan of this pick. Why? He's a jump ball receiver that really didn't get much separation in college and was a body catcher. And I don't think those guys really translate that great to the NFL. I think Johnson could be a really good receiver if he develops the right way, but I don't think he's going to. He kind of reminds me of Mike Williams, and you have Mike Williams already, so I'm going to give it a C. Doesn't really move the needle for me, and I think the Chargers had other needs that they needed to address. 22, Zay Flowers. I really like this pick. I think Flowers is going to be a really good receiver, a barn burner of a talent. He can burn. He's fast. He's really good. I'm going to give it an A+ for the Ravens. That's a great pick for them. Actually, it's an interesting thing. I'm going to go back to Johnson for a second. He had a good draft, like a good scouting grade at 89.63, and his pro comp's Braylon Edwards, so he could be good, but I'm not too sure. I'm going to stick with the C. Zay Flowers, 88.43. His pro comp's Elijah Moore. He's going to be good, I think. Then Jordan Addison at 23. That's a great pick, too. Vikings needed that second receiver with Adam Thielen being gone, and Jordan Addison's the perfect guy. His pro comp is Devontae Smith. He's got about an 88 pro scouting grade. He's going to be really good. I'm going to give that pick an A. Nice pick for the Vikings. Really well done for them. I'm going to give the Zay Flowers pick a B+, by the way, changing it from the A+ to the B+. 24, my New York Giants, they take Deonte Banks. I like this pick a lot. 89.87 pro scouting grade. Really good. They project him to be a long-term starter. He was honorable mention all Big Ten, third lowest completion percentage allowed in the Big Ten. And with those receivers you have, it's a great sign that a corner has been playing that well. They get that pick. They trade up from Jacksonville. They trade a 5th and a 7th. They got that pick. It's a good pick for them. I'm going to give it a B+. I'm going to be fair. I would like to give it an A because I think it fills a positional need. They needed another cornerback, and they gave a pick to maybe the guy who's probably the best athletic in terms of athlete. He's the best athlete at cornerback in this draft. I don't know if that'll translate that well, but I think he's going to be really, really good. I'm going to give this pick an A-. Great pick for Joe Schoen and company. He's been awesome again in this draft. A- for Deonte Banks. His pro comp's Antonio Cromartie. Good player to be compared to, so I like it. A-. At 5th, I like this pick a lot too. Even though they have Dawson Knox, who I think they gave an extension to, that you can never have enough pass catchers. Dalton Kincaid is an absolute stud. He is the best tight end in the draft, in my opinion. His pro comp is Dennis Pitta, which I don't necessarily understand, and he's an 86.8 in terms of his pro scouting grade. I think he's really good. They trade this pick. The Bills gave up I'm not sure what they gave up exactly to get him. I think it was like a 4th or so. It's a late round pick, but I think it's a good pick. I'm going to give this pick a B+. Mazi Smith at 26 to the Dallas Cowboys. His pro comp is Vita Vea, which I think is a nice pick. I think Vita Vea is a stud. The reason that Tampa Bay has been as successful as they have on the defensive side of the ball since Vita Vea was drafted. And the thing that kind of concerns me is 84.13 pro scouting grade. It's a little bit lower. He's still going to be a long-term starter. I think this pick could be good, but I kind of want to see it play out more than I want to see other picks. Right now, I'm going to give it a B+. 27, the Jacksonville Jaguars take offensive tackle Anton Harrison from Oklahoma. I like this pick. He's pro comp is Lucas Niang. He's got an 87.73 draft grade. They traded down, so they got some draft picks. So that's also going to help play in. I think this is going to be a good pick for them. I'm going to go with a B. I like this pick. They needed an offensive tackle, especially with Cam Robinson missing games. They need to protect their franchise guy. They have their receivers. They have the running back. They have the tight end for now. Like the pick from the Jaguars, B+. Myles Murphy goes to the Bengals at 28. I like this pick too. He's really good. 89.07 scouting grade. His pro comp is Emmanuel Ogbah. It was a first team All ACC in 2021. Second team All 2022 first team All ACC. Second team All ACC in 2021. 2022 is first. Second most sacks in ACC over the past 3 seasons. This guy's going to be good. Bengals needed an extra pass rusher. I'm interested to see where they go for the rest of the draft, but I like this pick. I'm going to give it an A. I like Myles Murphy a lot. He fell down to them. He dropped dramatically. Interesting enough, but I like the pick. A. Bryan Bresee goes the next. So defensive line mates going at 28 and 29. This pick's good for the Saints. This is a need pick. They suffered some hits at defensive tackle in free agency. They lost. I'm not entirely sure who they lost because I haven't paid attention, but this is a good pick for them. I like it. He's 87.8 pro scouting grade. Good, which means he's going to project to be a long-term starter. Chris Wormley is his pro comp. I like the pick. B for the Saints. At 30, we got Nolan Smith. And he is kind of a smallest edge player, as CBS Sports points out. His pro comp grade's 88.9, and his pro comp is Zach Bond, who's been pretty good for the Saints. I think this is going to be a good pick. I'm interested to see how it plays out. I'm deathly afraid of the Eagles. They're going to win the NFC East this year. They're going to probably win the NFC. His pick's a B+ for them. Nice pick for the Eagles. And this was the one I really didn't quite understand, where the Chiefs at 31 took, because Miami doesn't have a first-round pick, they took Felix Anudike-Uzomah, the edge from Kansas State. His pro comp's Arden Key, who's been solid. He projects as a long-term starter with 84.43. He was a third-year AP All-American this year. Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. He tied for the 4th most sacks, so he could be good. CBS Sports gives him a C+. I'm going to give him a B. I think it's a decent pick. It fills a need. The Chiefs needed defensive pass rush. They didn't get much of it. You can't have Patrick Mahomes bail you out. So I like the pick for the Chiefs. I don't know why I keep calling them the Saints almost. But that's where I'm at. I think it's a good overall first round. I'd say if I had to pick some winners, the Philadelphia Eagles definitely jump out. I think the Vikings did a good job. They got a great player. And if they couldn't take Will Levis in the second round, watch out. That's a damn good first 2 rounds for the Vikings. I think Eagles, yeah, I said that. I think the Texans won too, and people are going to get on the Texans for that trade. I think it's a good trade. I do. I really think it was a good trade for them to make. So I'm happy with that. So my 2 big winners are the Texans and the Eagles, and my 2 big losers are obviously the Falcons. And I didn't really like what the Bears did, but also the Lions taking Gibbs. But so the Lions would be there if they only had the 1 pick. But them being able to take Jack Campbell saved them from being a loser. I'm going to go with the Chargers. I didn't like the Chargers pick. So my big winners are the Texans and the Eagles. I think the Lions are in between. I think the Giants did a good job winning. Vikings did a good job. And my 2 losers, my biggest losers, are probably going to be the Falcons and the Chargers, because they didn't make great picks in terms of that. We're going to switch over to the NBA, and we're going to talk about some big wins for the New York Knicks. I believe the New York Knicks are going to win this next series over the Miami Heat in 5 games. As I'm recording this right now, I'm They were just talking about how Julius Randle practiced a little bit, was limited, and Quentin Grimes went through a full day of practice. He said he feels good. I like that a lot. I really do. I think if you can have Grimes, and I think they'll be okay with Obi Toppin. I think Obi Toppin's a good player that doesn't get enough credit. So if you can have Grimes healthy and then everyone else, and then work Randall back in, maybe later in the series, or if they win and go to a hypothetical Eastern Conference Finals, I think that's when you can really work him back in. But right now, I'm happy with the Knicks. I like what they've done so far. You got to give credit. They really destroyed the Cavs in those final 3 games. They blew them out at home, 99-79 in game 3. They won by, I believe, 5 or in that 5-10 range in game number 4. I'll pull it up right now. And then they won by 11 in game 5, and it really wasn't close. They did a good job. Got to give credit to Tom Thibodeau and the Knicks. Leon Rose has done a really good job building up this team. Very nice job to the New York Knicks, and they'll be playing the Miami Heat in the second round. I think the Knicks are the better team. I think they should win in 5. You got to give credit to Jimmy Butler where credit is due. Jimmy Butler is the hottest player in the league right now, but they don't really have much outside of him. And you could say all you want, the Heat beat the Bucks. I don't think it's that case. I think the Bucks beat themselves more than the Heat beat the Bucks. We go to hockey because this is where I'm going to go more New York. So hockey, Rangers, Devils, Islanders play tonight. I think they'll win. I hope they can win. I want the Islanders, Rangers in the second round, but with the New York Rangers, it's not looking that way, and it kind of stinks that it's the case. But unfortunately, the Rangers have fallen into a little bit of a slump, and they've been awful the past 3 games, losing last night 4-0. And if it wasn't for the brilliance of Igor Shesterkin, they probably would have lost by 6 or 7. It was a absolutely embarrassing performance from their team in a do or die game 5, where it's more do or die than it is like, all right, you win, but tomorrow will be the real do or die. But yesterday was just as big. Gerard Gallant earlier this morning, they put out on Twitter that he's changed the lines up a little bit, so maybe that'll make a difference. But it just doesn't. Like, the Rangers were so dominant the first 2 games, and then it's been all Devils. So I'm going to say, and I hate to say it this way, but I don't know if the Rangers are going to have enough to muster up to beat the Devils. As much as it pains me to say it, I will be thinking that it's going to be an Islanders-Devils second round series. And the Rangers, another disappointing year, and we'll have to see what happens with Gerard Gallant. But very tough for the Rangers to lose that game and to lose the stranglehold on this series that they had after game 2, winning the first 2 by a score of 5-1. You felt like this could be a team that could maybe go to the finals, maybe make a finals run. And it changed that fast. And it's not really Igor Shesterkin's fault. I know Devils fans were getting on him last night, and they shouldn't have been, because he's not the guy you get on. You get on the guys like Panarin and Zibanejad that haven't done anything in this entire series. And I love Mika Zibanejad. Mika Zibanejad is my favorite hockey player, but you need to do more. Everyone needs to do more. I'm interested to see how them changing the lines up happens, how it will work for them. But right now, it's been a tough few games for the Rangers. Let's see if they bounce back. We're going to go into game time tonight. I'll tell you what games are going on and when, and maybe some picks I would like betting wise tonight, because this isn't gambling advice, but these are picks that I'd like for value if you are able to do those things. NHL, you have the Hurricanes and the Islanders. I like the Islanders at -120. I like the Panthers at 165. Bruins are good, but it just feels like the Panthers are playing with so much heart. They might steal this one, and you might see the Boston Bruins, who had the best regular season of all time, go to Game 7 of the first round. Then you have the Stars and the Wild. This could go either way. Game 6, Dallas leads the series 3-2. I like the Stars to maybe close this one out, but I wouldn't be surprised if this one goes to Game 7. I'm not going to make a pick there. And then Seattle and the Avalanche. Seattle's actually the underdog in this one, and they're home. I like Seattle to win this one. It just feels like it's their time. It feels like it's going to be a special night for those hockey fans in Seattle. I have the Kraken. Plus 135, it's a good value pick if you are interested in taking it. We'll go to the MLB tonight. Locally, we'll go through Twins and Royals. I like the Twins. Baltimore Tigers. Baltimore's obviously better team. Cubs, Marlins. Let's pull up the pitching matchups just to give you guys a better better understanding of what we're doing here. Well, Yankees, I like Yankees are going to lose tonight. Clark Schmidt against Jacob deGrom. It's pretty predictable. Jordan Lyles has struggled this year. Pablo Lopez has been great, even though he's 1-2, 3.0 earned run average. He's going to win this game tonight. Orioles are 17-8. I'd like Grayson Rodriguez to beat Derek Rodriguez. Tigers are dreadful. Cubs are 14-10. Marlins are 13-13. It's a good pitching matchup. I like Stroman a little bit more in this game than I like Jesus Luzardo. The first place Pittsburgh Pirates, best team in the National League. I expect them to win. The Washington Nationals are dreadful. Well, heads up for Pittsburgh Pirates being 21-8 after the weekend's up. Mariners, Blue Jays. Mariners have their best guy on the mound, and Alek Manoah has not been good this year outside of his start in Yankee Stadium. I like Seattle to rock Manoah and win this game. Guardians, Red Sox, Bieber, and Pivetta. I like Bieber more than I like Pivetta in this one. Go Boston, Max Fried, and David Peterson. I like Max Fried in this one. Braves win this. Braves will take it. Rays should beat the White Sox. White Sox are 7-19. Give me Zach Eflin and the Rays. Phillies, Astros, a World Series rematch. This one's on Apple TV. Framber Valdez against Aaron Nola. Look for Aaron Nola to get back on track with a big start against the Astros tonight. I like the Phillies to win this game. Angels and the Brewers. Angels 14-12. Brewers 16-9. I like Wade Miley a little bit more than I like Tyler Anderson in this one, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Angels are able to win this one. I'm going to go with the Angels. D-backs, Rockies. We'll take the D-backs. Rockies are dreadful. A's and Reds. This one's going to go with the A's. The Reds. This is two of the worst teams in baseball, but it just happens that the Reds are not openly tanking as bad as the A's are. And lastly, we have the Cardinals and the Dodgers. I will take Dustin May and the Dodgers over Jack Flaherty and the Cardinals. Round 2 of the NFL draft is up tonight. I'm not going to give you guys predictions because I'd be here forever. We also have round 3. We'll just say I think where the Giants should go is John Michael Schmidt, the center from Minnesota, and Jalen Hyatt, the receiver from Tennessee. Those are my 2 guys that I like. Anyone else I'd be happy with. Let's just see what Joe Shane and Brian Dable and co. do tonight. And lastly, we have NBA games is going on tonight. We have Sacramento and Golden State. This is going to be a really good game because you're going to have Sacramento playing with the desperation and Golden State playing with their home dominance. I like Sacramento to send this to a game 7. I just think the series has been too good, and I think De'Aaron Fox has a better night than he did last time out. Memphis and the Lakers. Lakers lead this series 3-2. I think this one's going 7. I think the Grizzlies are going to have another big win, and Ja's going to carry them tonight. Phoenix and Denver starts tonight, or that's tomorrow at 8:30. So those are all the games we have covered for you today, and that is actually going to do it for the podcast. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I hope you guys enjoyed this sports recap. Make sure to subscribe and watch and like the video.